All right, we're going to finish the Cyclops. And so we're starting on line 415. He has just tricked the Cyclops and they have gotten out of the cave. He sent us into the open then. Close by, I dropped and rolled clear of the ram's belly, going this way and that to untie the men. With many glances back, we rounded up his fat, stiff-legged sheep to take aboard and drove them down to where the good ship lay. We saw as we came near our fellows' faces shining. They're so happy that they escaped. Then we saw them turn to grief, tallying those who had not fled from death. How many men did he lose? I hushed them, jerking head and eyebrows up, and in a low voice told them, load this herd, move fast, and put the ship's head toward the breakers. They all pitched in at loading, then embarked and struck their oars into the sea. Far out, as far offshore as shouted words could carry, I sent a few back to the adversary. Adversary means enemy, foe. Oh, Cyclops, would you feast on my companions? Puny am I in a caveman's hands? How do you like the beating that we gave you? Is this wise for him to be mocking him again? Now, he did this before when he was in the cave and he had gouged out his eye, but he did it to himself. He laughed to himself. So what would have happened if he had laughed out loud when the Cyclopes were outside saying, hey, what's going on in there? Would have been much more dangerous. But does this demonstrate a flaw in Odysseus? Does it demonstrate an arrogance, a pride that is not a good one, that's kind of getting the best of him? Is he again risking his life, but also the lives of his crewsmen by behaving this way? Let me read that last line again. How do you like the beating that we gave you, you damned cannibal? Eater of guests under your roof, Zeus and the gods have paid you. So remember, that's what he told him. If you don't treat us with hospitality, which is so important to that culture, Zeus will avenge those who have not been treated well. The blind thing in his doubled fury broke a hilltop in his hands and heaved it after us. Ahead of our black prow it struck and sank whelmed in a spuming geyser, a giant wave that washed the ship stern foremost back to shore. I got the longest boat hook out and stood fending us off, with furious nods to all to put their backs into a racing stroke. Row, row, or perish. Going right back. So the long oars bent, kicking the foam sternward, making head until we drew away and twice as far. Whew. That was a close one, so surely Odysseus has learned his lesson. Now when I cupped my hands, I heard the crew in low voices protesting. God's sake, Captain, why bait the beast again? Let him alone. That tidal wave he made on the first throw all but beached us, all but stove us in. Give him our bearing with your trumpeting. He'll get the range and lob a boulder. How does the crew feel about Odysseus baiting him? He can't see. He doesn't have his eye anymore, so he can't find them. Unless Odysseus is yelling at him, trumpeting at him like an elephant. So I wonder, is Poseidon helping the Cyclops? We'll find out. He'll smash our timbers and our heads together. I would not heed them in my glorying spirit, even though they almost died again. He would not listen to the crew, that glorying spirit, that pridefulness. But let my anger flare and yelled, Cyclops, if ever mortal man inquire how you were put to shame and blinded, tell him Odysseus, raider of cities, took your eye, Laertes' son, whose home's on Ithaca. You know, sometimes when we're angry, we say things that we later regret. And I wonder if Odysseus's words are going to come back to haunt him. It's like, have you ever been around someone you think, oh, that person has such a big mouth. If they'd just be quiet. All right. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little anxious for Odysseus and his crew, as he's not heeding wisdom here. At this, he gave a mighty sob and rumbled, "Now comes the weird upon me, spoken of old. A wizard grand and wondrous lived there, Telemus, a son of Eurymus. Great length of days he had in wizardry among the Cyclopes. And these things he foretold for time to come. My great eye lost, and at Odysseus's hands. Always I had in mind some giant, armed and giant force would come against me here. So it was prophesied. But you, small, pitiful, and twiggy, you put me down with wine and you blinded me." So the prophecy came true. What would have happened if Odysseus had said his real name instead of making up another name that served him well twice? "Come back, Odysseus, and I'll treat you well, praying the god of earthquake to befriend you. His son I am, for he by his avowal fathered me, and if he will, he may heal me of this black wound, he and no other of all the happy gods or mortal men." So I remember Polyphemus was mocking Zeus, mocking the gods, but now he's calling on Poseidon to heal him. He calls on Poseidon to help him. And we see the epithet, god of earthquake, is an epithet for Poseidon. All right, so Odysseus has already been promised things by Polyphemus before, and he has already broken his promise. Should he trust him now? Will he really treat him well now? Highly unlikely, right? But I wonder, have you ever experienced that, where you trusted someone and they broke their trust, they betrayed you in some way, and then they asked you to trust them again? And then, did you? And if you did you regret it? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Well, let's see if he does. "Few words I shouted in reply to him. If I could take your life, I would, and take your time away, and hurl you down to hell. The god of earthquake could not heal you there." Oh, we have another god there, Hades, who also doesn't get along with Poseidon and Zeus. At this, he stretched his hands out in the darkness, Polyphemus, toward the sky of stars, and prayed Poseidon. "Oh, hear me, Lord, blue girdler of the islands. If I am thine indeed, and thou art father, grant that Odysseus, raider of cities, never see his home. Laertes' son, I mean, who kept his hall on Ithaca. Should destiny intend that he shall see his roof again among his family and his fatherland, far be that day, and dark the years between." More foreshadowing. "Let him lose all companions and return under strange sail to bitter days at home." What does that foretell of what's happening while he's out for these years? What's happening at home? What is he going to come home to? In these words he prayed, and the god heard him. Now he laid hands upon a bigger stone and wheeled around, titanic for the cast, to let it fly in the black-prowed vessel's track. But it fell short, just aft the steering oar, and whelming seas rose giant above the stone to bear us onward toward the island. Who helped Odysseus if Poseidon was helping Polyphemus? There, as we ran in, we saw the squadron waiting, the trim ships drawn up side by side, and all our troubled friends who waited, looking seaward. Can you imagine what they must have felt, looking toward the sea, hoping for a sign of Odysseus and the crew, wondering what they were going to do if Odysseus didn't make it. Maybe they were angry. Maybe they were scared. How do you think they were feeling? We beached her grinding keel in the soft sand and waded in ourselves on the sandy beach. Then we unloaded all of Cyclops' flock to make division, share and share alike. What admirable quality does Odysseus show here with what he's going to do with the stolen sheep? Only my fighters voted that my ram, the prize of all, should go to me. I slew him by the seaside and burnt his long thigh bones to Zeus beyond the storm cloud. He's making an offering to the god. Zeus beyond the storm cloud, Cronus' son. Cronus, who was the god of the universe until Zeus overthrew him. But Zeus disdained my offering. Destruction for my ships he had in store, and death for those who sailed them, my companions. So there we are again, more foreshadowing. And I wonder, what has Odysseus done that his sacrifices to Zeus are not atoning for those things? He's still angry for some reason. Maybe the thigh bones was not a good offering. You know, there's different types of offerings. Maybe he needed to offer the whole ram and not just his thigh bones. Maybe he kept the best for himself and made Zeus angry. Now all day long until the sun went down, we made our feast on mutton and sweet wine. Till after sunset, in the gathering dark, we went to sleep above the wash of ripples. Imagine what relief they must be feeling. Have you ever experienced something like that, where you have done something really difficult, something really taxing, and then you accomplished it and you breathed a sigh of relief and you could rest, have a good meal, go to sleep because you feel so good about your accomplishment? When the young dawn with fingertips of rose, we have that motif again, touched the world, I roused the men, gave orders to man the ships, cast off the mooring lines, and filing in to sit beside the rowlocks, oarsmen in line dipped oars in the gray sea. So we moved out, sad in the vast offing, having our precious lives, but not our friends. So they didn't get to rest for long. They had to go on. What characteristics has he shown now that fit that role of epic hero? And examine again what might be his tragic hero flaw. I wonder if he had to do it all over again, would he make the same choices? I wonder if he felt like it was worth it to lose 6 of his men just to see the Cyclops. What does that say about him? All right, keep annotating for those things, and I will see you again soon.